And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Okay. I don't know what just happened there. But sometimes you just have to take a second and say, you know what? Sometimes you make the right calls. And sometimes that happens really fast. Sometimes that takes a pretty long time. In my case, I got crazy lucky because yesterday I made a video titled Why I'm Selling Evolving Skies. Because my whole reasoning was I think there's going to be a reprint. And I didn't really have much to add to that other than I thought there was going to be a reprint. And here we are, less than 24 hours later. Guess what? Evolving Skies reprint is not even a question at this point anymore. I think it's just a matter of it's happening. And now the next question is going to be, okay, Pokemon Center has now released booster boxes. You go on Pokemon Center right now at the time recording this video, right at this very second, and go pick up booster boxes. I never recommend it to anyone to pick up booster boxes from PokemonCenter.com because even at $143 for Evolving Skies, that's still not a good price. I still do believe that this is just the beginning of that reprint. And yes, Pokemon Center was the first to get it, but next distributors are going to get it. And then I bet you within the next week or two, or maybe month, we'll start to see all the local LGSs, everybody with agreements for distributors and stuff like that. The orders will start piling in, who actually wants this product. But I was a little nervous putting out that video because when I said in that video that I've sold every single one of my Evolving Skies booster boxes, meaning I don't own any at this point. As a recording this video, I do not own any Evolving Skies. So to make that video, I definitely feel like I went out on a little bit of an edge because you definitely open yourself up for criticism at that point. At that point, once everyone knows you have sold out at your position, then people could make a educated guess just looking at what the market price was as of yesterday. They could figure out what I sold it for. And if for whatever reason Evolving Skies didn't get a reprint, it's possible that that booster box could be a $300 booster box. And I would have had to buy some of it back because if you guys are not new to this channel, one of the things I do is I'm putting aside every single booster box for my newborn son. He's about to turn a year, but every set that was released from, his birth to probably when he's 18 or 20 or who knows, I'm going to buy every booster box. I'm not going to buy every specialty set. I'm not going to buy every ETB. And for the only reason I'm not buying those is because I eventually will run out of room for stuff like that. I could only go with one booster box of each set. So I don't even have an Evolving Skies booster box for that collection. So I would have had to go and buy one. Now, I do believe I'm going to get entry points that are much lower than this 143, which is awesome. But yeah, I just like to sometimes sit back and feel good. And the haters won't give me this moment, but it feels good to have this moment. But in today's video, I want to talk about something different. Why I think you should wait to invest any sort of money in Astral Radiance. So I think I'm just going to start doing full transparency on this channel. So for full transparency, I do not have any pre-orders of Astral Radiance with the huge caveat I did pick up 4 Pokemon Center ETBs of Astral Radiance, and that's something I have been doing now, going back every single Pokemon Center exclusive ETB that they've released. I have now done that. And at the time of doing that pre-order for Pokemon Center Astral Radiance ETBs, I had no clue what the set was. I'm just at the point where Pokemon Center ETBs go up for pre-order. I'm just going to get my max of 4 and see how the set does. Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, Evolving Skies, Chill and Rain. It was the only one I didn't do maxes of. Pokemon Center or Celebrations, Pokemon Center ETBs. I have my 4 of those, stuff like that. So all transparency, I do have 4 of those, but I haven't pre-ordered any booster boxes, any, build and battle kits, 3-pack blisters, the stuff I would normally go after. And the reason why is I'm pretty sure I'll end up just picking up 3-pack blisters and stuff like that when it goes on Pokemon Center for the $12.99 MSRP. I'll probably get a couple of each artwork just to get the free $25 shipping from Pokemon Center. And that's just something I'll have for my personal collection. As for booster boxes, though, and I think booster boxes should be the main conversation for investing in Astral Radiance. I have no plans to pick up anytime soon. Now, I do know that this Astral Radiance is going to be supposedly like only 1 to 2 big waves, and we're not going to see other trickle down things. But I'm willing to sit back and wait on Astral Radiance, even at pre-order prices of at like 110, 105. I don't think this set is very attractive at those prices. I know there's a lot of people out there really like Astral Radiance, and a lot of people well, not a lot, but a couple people I've heard from, they talked about Astral Radiance being, more tied to Legends Arceus game, something I haven't played. So maybe I don't have my attachment there. But for right now, I don't like Astral Radiance at all. Even before the set was, truly known what all the cards were in it, I didn't really love it. I don't love the thought of like Machamps as being chase cards, and yeah, like the Palkia and stuff like that, and the Dialga. I get it. Like those are always fun cards, but are those cards good enough truly to carry sets? And my answer to that would probably be no, that they're not strong enough to carry sets. Now, what's going to happen if Astral Radiance does end up being a flop? Where is this now going to land in, the short-term history of Pokemon? One, it's going to fall right behind Brilliant Stars. And in my opinion, Brilliant Stars is still better than Evolving Skies. I personally think Brilliant Stars is the best set of modern. It used to be Sword and Shield for me, and now it's Brilliant Stars as not Sword and Shield. It used to be Cosmic Eclipse as my number one. Brilliant Stars has taken that spot of number one. So my top 3 for best sets of modern is number 1 is Brilliant Stars. Number 2 is Cosmic Eclipse. Number 3 is Evolving Skies. I bet you there's a lot of people out there, would love to have a lot of debates on switching those 3. Maybe they put Evolving Skies at 1, Cosmic at 2, Brilliant Stars at 3 or something. Maybe they throw Team Up in there, but that's how my top 3 is. My top 3 is Brilliant Stars number 1, Cosmic Eclipse number 2, Evolving Skies number 3. Now, when I think of Astral Radiance, I say, well, where is this? So it's falling right after Brilliant Stars. But then we're potentially going into what I think is going to end up being a relatively decent sized reprint of Evolving Skies. Now, is this the potential for the only major reprint of Evolving Skies we see? I think that's way more likely than the chance of not getting a reprint. So I'd say that is definitely a possibility. Now, do we know that there's only going to be one big reprint of Evolving Skies? No, we don't know that, but I think it has a high chance of likelihood to happen. And I want to say that because of how little bit of Astral Radiance it seems like a lot of people are getting from distributors, the question I brought up on this channel, I've heard other people having the same conversation, is okay, if Pokemon isn't printing their most current set Astral Radiance, which at the time of recording this video hasn't even officially been released yet, but if they're not printing that, what can they be printing? And then some people said, well, they're probably just ramping up a crazy amount of Pokemon Go, and that's where all their printer capability is. And I thought a lot of their printer capability is probably going to Evolving Skies. So if that happens and Evolving Skies reprint is big, that means you're going to have Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, and then a huge reprint of Evolving Skies. So what could potentially happen is all the buying pressure could stay very isolated to those 2 sets. So if the buying pressure stays very strong in Brilliant Stars and Evolving Skies, that's just going to mean that Astral Radiance won't have the buying pressure or the demand to keep that booster box price inflated. So it's really going to only have kind of one trajectory. And I look at something not too far in the past. I look at exactly how did Fusion Strike play out. Fusion Strike, the same thing happened. It fell between 2 fantastic sets. Fusion Strike fell right in between Evolving Skies, and then the set following it was Brilliant Stars. Now all we're doing with Astral Radiance is flip-flopping that. Brilliant Stars first, Evolving Skies reprint second. So, and we see what happened with Fusion Strike. There's a lot of people love Fusion Strike. A lot of people actually talked a lot of positive things about Fusion Strike when you really think about it. Joe, Echo Base Collectibles, brings up great points. There's a lot of alternative art cards in there, but prices weren't able to hold strong. Chill and Rain, out of all the lower priced, call it right now, super modern sets, Chill and Rain being in the bottom three is one of the stronger sets we have seen when you compare Chill and Rain as a booster box to other sets in recent memory. So you go back to, you know, some of your XY sets, some of your Sun and Moon sets, and you start ranking Chill and Rain against some of these XY sets, against some of these Sun and Moon sets, you know, it still holds its own. Now there's definitely like the outlier, like the last block of Sun and Moon sets, you know, your team ups and cosmic eclipse. And yeah, maybe Chill and Rain doesn't hold strong against there. But I would definitely say that there are still a lot, you know, like even going against like Unbroken Bonds. And yeah, Unified Minds has the Mewtwo, and depending on where you fall on that spectrum, but Chill and Rain still has like all the legendary birds, tons of alternative arts, great character rares, subsets freaking huge in that thing. I think Chill and Rain from now until a while, when it comes to strictly individual card prices, we're going to see a lot of cards in Chill and Rain still be relatively valuable for a super modern product with a ton of supply out there, just because of the simple fact that the set size is so large and the pull rates are so tough right now for modern, that some of these cards might just hold value because, you know, you're thinking you got to rip through sometimes like, you know, 500 to 800 packs to pull some of these chase cards. So really the secondary market for a lot of this stuff is the only way to go. So you might actually see Chill and Rain, you know, stick around at a, you know, it's very rare for a modern booster box to have so many cards within it that really justify the price of that box. You know, again, pull rates being so tough, it's a really tough conversation. And then you go out of Chill and Rain and then you'll leave Fusion Strike. Like I talked about, Fusion Strike, yeah, has the Mew alternative art character rare, but again, pull rates being tough. People don't love Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike is sitting at distributors right now. It's sitting on a lot of shelves right now. People don't want it. Now, what's that going to mean for Astral Radiance? Does that mean we can just look at the not too distant past, meaning not too distant past in the last year or two, to sort of get an indication of how Astral Radiance is going to play out? I would personally say yes, which, if that is the case, it is with a strong possibility, not a guarantee. We don't guarantee anything on this channel. I wish I guaranteed yesterday that there would be a reprint of, you know, of Alan Scott's, and that would really be a slam dunk. But we can't do guarantees. But we can say with a very high certainty that Astral Radiance does not have a fantastic trajectory. Now, when you talk about trajectories of set, it's like, okay, well, now what follows Astral Radiance? Following Astral Radiance is Pokemon Go. Again, I don't see Pokemon Go as being this amazing set that some people are kind of hyping it up to be. I think actual, you know, Pokemon Go set is going to be, you know, way too eerily similar to like a Detective Pikachu. And I know a lot of people are holding on to the fact that there is going to be like Radiant cards, and the Radiants are going to be the big three. The Radiant cards are going to be Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. But we don't know what those cards are going to look like. Are they going to be like full art Radiants? Are they going to be very similar to what we're already seeing now with Radiant cards? You know, the Green Ninja and Astral Radiance, a lot of people talked about those cards, including myself. Look at the Radiant cards. Like, these things might have some value. We were already comparing them to things like Amazing Rares. And what did Amazing Rares do when they were first released in Vivid Voltage? All those things really spiked up in price pretty high for being relatively easy pull rates, meaning you're probably going to get 1 to 2 per booster box. I've already now seen a few openings of Astral Radiance where people have pulled all 3 Radiant cards in one single booster box, which to me doesn't scream from the top of the mountains like super hard pull rates. So if that happens, and the Radiant cards called the subsection of this set is weak, and then character rares, in my opinion, before Astral Radiance, I would have went out on the line and said, I think character rares can carry sets. And the reason why I would say I think a character subset could carry a set is because I would look at a Cosmic Eclipse. Like, that is one of the reasons Cosmic Eclipse is so amazing. Yes, it has like, you know, Charizards and Blastoids and Piplups, and all the big hitters are also in that set. And then awesome trainer cards and stuff. But when you look at the character rare subset and you look at like the Red's Pikachu and you're like, oh my God, that is an awesome card. Or the Acerola with Mimikyu, and you look at that card and you're like, oh, that's a nice card. Or even like the non-fan favorites, you know, the Lieutenant Surge or the Dawn and Piplup or the wishy-washy ones, or you look at those and even the weaker ones are still strong. Maybe the Dawn and Piplup is a little bit stronger. And then when Brilliant Stars came out and you saw the character subset of that and you saw like, oh my God, there's Flareon and Jolteon and Vaporeon, and look at this Eevee art, and look at just like, oh my God, we got Umbreons, we got everything. Like, talk about just monster sets. And then there was still the Lance's Charizard character rare, which we didn't get in Brilliant Stars, but we did get a bunch of Charizards in that set, not including the character rares. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe that Lance's Charizard will keep up Astral Radiance. And they didn't even include it in the set. It's not there. It's nowhere to be found. Who knows where it is? So it's just interesting to think through all this and say, is there any way Astral Radiance, in my opinion, performs like a Brilliant Stars or performs like an Evolving Skies off the bat? I'd say no. Now, this is when you go into like super duper early, crazy, super subjective timeline where now you start really, diving into, well, in the future, what's the chances of a reprint of Astral Radiance now? Because then you say, well, if you don't think Astral Radiance is investable now, is Pokemon going to have a reason to go back and reprint it? And right now, I would think that Pokemon is probably making the decision to reprint everything at least once, or at least get more waves out there, because we've already seen that now with a lot of different sets. So I did just add a very awesome thumbnail to this video. I love it. It's a great thumbnail. I hope you guys appreciate it. But no, it's an interesting conversation, and I am interested in what your guys' thoughts are. If there's anybody out there who wants to join in on this live, maybe they have different opinions on it, or maybe they just want to talk Pokemon, shoot me a message. See basic trainers in the chat. You're more than welcome to join. Yeah, Professor Oaks in the chat. You're more than welcome to join. Any of you guys want to join? Just talk some, Pokemon. You're more than free. But yeah, I really am scratching my head about how I think Astral Radiance is going to perform. I don't see Astral Radiance as being this like slam dunk set. And if it's not a slam dunk set and it's just constant downward pressure on that thing, there's a potential Astral Radiance can be one of the most beaten down sets ever. Now, I am very interested too what other people's thought processes are, people that are actually buying this from distributor, because my thought doesn't really matter, right? Because if I think it's not going to be a good set, well, what does that matter for me? Maybe I'll sit back. For me, worst case scenario is that booster box creeps up to, Pokemon Center bullshit MSRP 144 a box, which means nothing to me. And yeah, I guess I'll have to buy my 2 booster boxes there, one for my child's collection, one for mine. But I don't see that as being a true danger to me, because I don't like the set enough to acquire big positions in it. But there are some sets that I did feel that way about. Brilliant Stars, I definitely felt I needed to acquire a position, and I acquired a position very early in Brilliant Stars, and I was very transparent on that. I talked about it in different lives, exactly how many booster boxes of Brilliant Stars I owned. I also talked about Evolving Skies. When prices dropped to $95 is when I picked up, all my positions in booster boxes of Evolving Skies, because I just looked at Evolving Skies. I said, this set is probably too strong to really crash down to what we had seen with, Battle Styles or Chill and Rain or Fusion Strike, like really get beat down that bad. I was like, I don't see that happening. And it never did. It got beat down a little bit when that huge initial wave of supply came. But this is a big caveat, right? So even a very strong set, like Brilliant Stars and Evolving Skies, right at release, you see your lowest prices, both those sets, Evolving Skies with that second wave that came, when we saw, booster boxes creep down to that $9,500 mark, there was still a lot of buying pressure, a lot of demand at those lower prices, which was enough to eat up all the supply on the market. But what happened was, when it was also like kind of a perfect wave or a perfect timeline of where all this supply just hit all these people at one time, with that huge battle styles and chill and rain, just call it a dump, right? And it got dumped at the same time with Evolving Skies. So when that happened, the reason why battle styles and chill and rain were able to stay low with those prices where Evolving Skies was able to recover from that dump of product is just the overall set. And I do know that we sometimes do separate from, the value of the singles in the actual set itself versus the cost of the sealed product and stuff like that. I do understand that there is definitely like that movement that happens, but man, it was just a brutal onslaught for those sets. And the problem is I don't think inherently Chill and Rain or Battle Styles are poor sets. And I still do believe those are actually like relatively good investments in the long term. And relative is such a crazy subjective term in this hobby, because what is subjective? It's like, well, can it double in 5 years? Double from 80 to 60 or 80 to 160. It's like, maybe. But when you look at 5 years timeline, like what is that? It's like, okay, well, that's 10% a year. But then, now you're not really talking about compounded interest. So is your money more better off being put in other places? Is battle styles? And I constantly compare it to other sets. It's like, well, what's another stinker set that didn't have a lot of chase cards? It's like, well, it's like Crimson Invasion, right? Well, what did Crimson Invasion do? Crimson Invasion sat forever. And the only thing that saved Crimson Invasion, the only thing that saved it was just the fact that the market at the peak of peaks in 2020, when the market was just dried up and we as collectors had just burned through all available supply, meaning anything that was on the market that was for sale got eaten up. It was amazing. And even after all that, when you looked at run-ups on, Sword and Shield base and Rebel Clash and Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage and all the late Sun and Moon sets, all from call it from Unify or not from Unified Minds, from Ultra Prism all the way up to Cosmic Eclipse. Every set in between just got eaten up and there's nothing on the market. And then there was Crimson Invasion just standing alone, just like the king of the mountain at that point. And Crimson Invasion was the only one left. And then maybe there was a couple Steam Siege boxes. And then those started getting eaten up on the market. And then eventually Crimson Invasion creeped up to like $150 or whatever Crimson Invasion reached up to. When you look at how much supply had to be eaten up to get Crimson Invasion booster boxes to get their head above water and actually be able to breathe and be above that $100 mark and reach the 150 and everything, it literally took the biggest pandemic of our generation in order for that to happen. It was such a monstrous thing that needed to happen for that booster box to actually reach, higher prices. So when I look at something like that, now inherently, I think both battle styles and Chill and Rain compared to a Crimson Invasion, with the exception of maybe a couple good trainer cards and a couple, maybe like the one Gyarados card that's in Crimson Invasion, with the exception of maybe those, like Battle Styles and Chill and Rain beats that set 10 out of 10 times. Like there's not even a question, but it's a question of, okay, well, went out of print but then you have to ask that question, which I literally just explained, like, but what did it take? What did it really truly take for that to happen? Now, this is that thing about modern too, is there's a lot of modern sets, a lot of modern products I think are still going to do really well. I think modern is very investable, and people are always surprised to hear me say that, which I don't know why. I always talk about modern as being investable, and not too far back, I always thought that this channel was kind of a modern channel. Now, just because I think everything's investable doesn't mean this is investment advice. Like, I'm not a financial advisor. Go reach out to a financial advisor. Reach out to somebody who's not a geologist to hear about the financial investments of different opportunities, and definitely not about Pokemon for me. But I think one of the big misconceptions that happens too sometimes with modern is one of the tough things about modern is timing the market. And I feel like the Pokemon invest in modern market it's not hard. It's pretty obvious. Like the sets that are probably going to do well. The sets that are probably going to do poorly. The sets that are kind of just meh, right in the middle, kind of just sit in the middle and go meh. Like there's a lot of products, you know, that do fantastically well. I talked about some of those products before they were even released, like some modern products like the Evolution Premium Collection Box and stuff like that. You can go back when I talk about those being released and what the release date was a month before the release, as soon as they were even like, we saw the very early photos of these. I talked about those products being super investable. That's how far back you can go. Literally a month before they were out at distributors, before anybody had seen them, we'd only seen the photos. Those were already a slam dunk. They were easy. Like, I don't think modern is as hard, but what I'm afraid is are people going to be able to take gains out when they should be taking gains out? Like, how many people out there are sitting on Evolving Skies and thought Evolving Skies was going to be reprinted and they weren't sure and they just sat on it and they didn't do anything with it? And maybe their booster boxes reach 170, 180, and now they're going to, creep back down, and maybe they have no reason to sell, but maybe they still did buy that, like a couple booster boxes as an investment, like one for their personal collection, but some to sell as investments. It's like, well, if they were probably going to get reprinted, it's a matter of just selling them, right? Like, do your investment, don't go out and spend that money, keep that money to the side. And when they go back down in price, just reacquire your positions. Whatever your profit was, maybe you could reinvest it in Pokemon, or then take your profits, put in your bank account, go, pay some bills or go out to a nice restaurant or whatever. And that's what I'm doing. Like, me leaving my position of Evolving Skies is only a temporary thing. Like, I am not out on Evolving Skies. I still like Evolving Skies. I still like Evolving Skies as being part of my, like, Pokemon modern investments, I guess. And I hate to use the investment word, but today I figured I will do it. Let's see. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. I know I've been, Ancient Mew said basic Oak and PK and Alive legendary. When are we going to get Ancient Mew in a chat? Ancient Mew, you're always welcome to, buddy. Just reach out if you ever want to come on. Let's see. Team Trubbish said a financial advisor supports Pokemon investment needs call him PokeNav. Smitty said, PK, here's the topic. CGC, this right before I read Smitty's comment, I do want to touch on something somebody wrote on one of my comments. So what's his name? Clown Effect? I think his name's Clown Effect. He had mentioned hot take, and I thought it was an interesting take. He said, in the future, the non-Pokemon Center ETBs for certain modern products will end up being more investable than the Pokemon Center products. And his reasonality behind that was that Pokemon Center ETBs will be bought to be collectible and will be bought not to open, where other ETBs will be bought to open. So actually the supply of non-Pokemon Center ETBs in the future will actually be lower than the Pokemon Center ETBs, which will thus increase prices. Now, I think that's a hot take, and I love a good tinfoil hat theory. It's not really one I'm going to get behind because I don't think it will work out that way. And the only reason I say that is because Pokemon Center ETBs are only exclusive to like North America. And I know that there is now a European Pokemon Center, which will have Pokemon Center ETBs, but it's not a worldwide thing where a lot of these ETBs just go everywhere. Anyone can pick up those Pokemon Center ETBs, assuming you're not running multiple addresses and stuff and getting more than your max of 4 Pokemon Center ETBs. Like, it's much easier for somebody to go out and buy a case of 10 of the regular ETBs opposed than it is to go out and get 10 Pokemon Center ETBs. Now, it's definitely possible. You can definitely just have multiple shipping addresses and all that stuff. But I do find that to be less likely. But I did tell him I would address that question. I don't hate it. Like, I like where his head is. It's like definitely thinking out of the box. And I think there is, while I do believe a lot of this Pokemon for modern, it's like pretty obvious where like the good buys are and the good deals are. I also think that there is this also small subset of modern that you need to talk about of if everybody is buying one thing, that is also a potential argument of why that will not be investable. If everybody is piling into the same product, but people are sort of ignoring other things, there is the possibility that those things that people are ignoring end up becoming valuable in the future because nobody owns them. Now, it's hard to say. So Smitty says, PK, here's a topic. CGC deciding to wait this long to grade easier and being too late. I'm a CGC collector and there are no new slabs hitting eBay. Anything worthwhile anyways? I think what CGC did, a little too late. I think what shot CGC in the foot was CGC at the time they came, I think they opened up their doors July of 2020. Talk about just like the perfect storm of just all this shit's about to happen. And July 2020, like the floodgates are about to open. PSA is about to shut down. People who were just diehard PSA collectors, PSA investors, people who would never, ever have considered another grading card company. Because PSA shut down and it became impossible and turnaround, and even before PSA shut down, the turnaround times just exponentially increased to the point where it almost became like an imaginary number. Like no one knew when their cards are going to come back. And CGC was just there. And they were this beautiful option for people, including people like myself. And I sent all these cards to CGC and I was an early adopter. And when I say early adopter, I sent my first submission to CGC in December. They only started in July. They hadn't even been around for 1 year yet. And I sent hundreds and hundreds of cards to CGC. And I was rewarded back from them with zero tens. And don't get me wrong, not every single card I sent to them was some, Wizard of the Coast that I got from a binder collection purchase that I bought or something that's been sitting, for the last 20 years. A lot of the cards I sent them were, pack fresh modern cards or pack fresh sun and moon cards that went from pack to sleeve, and those got 9.5s. And what does it look like? A lot of these 9.5s, and I bet you if I were to crack some of those 9.5s, assuming that I didn't sell them, which most of them I did, I sold them at 9.5 prices, which a lot of those 9.5 prices were in reality, receiving less money than PSA 9s, even though they were probably easily PSA 10 contenders and possibly now with CGC's new grading scale, CGC 10 contenders. And I got, pretty low prices on those. And I was one of the early adopters. And normally what happens is early adopters usually are rewarded by companies. And normally when a company will do grading scale stuff like that, the big thing people look at is that consistency, or at least some sort of consistency. And to now change that, it just, it puts a lot of sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So to answer your question, CGC deciding to wait this long to grade easier, and is it being too late with PSA now opening back up, $50 grading tiers for all club members? It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about lotteries or anything. Is it very possible that we're going to start to see another lower tier, whether that's $40, $30, $25? Now, if they get down to $25, forget about it. Like CGC's done. CGC's prices for card with subgrade is $25. I don't see CGC with a one-to-one price increase or one-to-one price match against PSA being a viable option at all. I think it's over. And I think people eventually will see the lower card prices and they'll just go like that forever. Let's see. So Basic Trainer said his current modern hold is 8 Evolving Skies back. Turd Burglar said, glad to be back in Central Time so I can make it to these. He said he loves to hear his name said out loud. Professor Oak said, I'm quoting him. I don't remember him saying what I'm saying. Who wants to see Professor Oak join this live? Oh, here we go. He does want to join it. Let's see. So we're going to get Professor Oak in here. Let's see. interesting to get Professor Oak in here, hear his opinions on some of this stuff. Let's see. But no, it's interesting. I always like to get, second thoughts in here or second opinions, because I think that's the hot thing right now is just the modern investment conversation. Oh man, it's hard to send out invites to people. But yeah, so anyways, if you guys don't know this yet, Friday does officially mark the first day that mine, Rattles, and Cool Trainers Ryan first ever podcast will kick off. So that's going to be fun. Let's see. And no, that's going to be fun. And we already know like the chemistry the three of us have. I think it's a good chemistry, because I think in order to have a good podcast is you have to have people with very similar mindsets and very similar thought processes, but they also have to be inherently different. And I think that is true when you look at myself, Rattle, and Cool Trainer Ryan. While we might seem very similar from the outside looking in, we are very different. Like Rattle is a big time, binder card. He likes all his cards raw. And I am definitely more the graded way. I definitely do like sealed product. But then Cool Trainer Ryan doesn't like anything about graded cards. He definitely has graded a ton of cards, but he doesn't want to own any, with the one exception of just his Celebi Gold Star collection from, like, with the exception of that card, like, yeah, he doesn't want to own any. So and it's good to have that little comparison. And then when you look at like what else does Ryan or Cool Trainer Ryan do? He likes, graded games, stuff like that. And pretty much we know Rattle doesn't like anything graded. So it is going to be good to have that dynamic for a part of it. And then just overall thoughts on the hobbies. And there's going to be a lot of just awesome conversations. I know we're going to have some pretty awesome guests joining. So let's see. So Sarge7 said, "Hey, when are you going to interview P Football Pete? Just got a Yu-Gi-Oh box from him and it looks ridiculously sus. I think you're fine, but I don't know when he's going to be on the channel." Felipe De Sosa said, "I like to rip an Evolving Skies box, been waiting for a reasonable price though. Loves cards in the set." Yeah, everybody loves price or loves cards in the set. And that's the crazy thing is everybody's definitely talking about the Umbreon, the one with the moon in the background, the alternative art. And normally I would say that I am relatively good at like understanding what prices are. So if I look at a card and I say, okay, like this card is probably X amount of dollars raw. And then in a PSA 10, depending on when that set was released, I'm usually like have a relatively good understanding of the market and I can take relatively good educated guesses. But man, when I heard the price of that Umbreon, that was one of those very few cards that I ever sat back and was like, no, there's no way that price is right. $700 to $800 for that card in PSA 10, and looking at what the raw prices were, you could pick them up for $150, $200. I'm like, no, there's just, that's impossible. There's just no way. And then I was wrong. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that says or what that means, but for me to be so stumped or so amazed by that is pretty, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Hey, what's up, Professor Oak?
What's up? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, your volume's a little low. Maybe my.
I said that last time when I was on live, people were saying that. Something wacky. Is that any better when I hold it closer?
Yeah, it's good. So what's up?
Dude, I feel like we're exactly where I wanted us to be with the market. I feel like everybody was saying that they wanted it to chill out and the sets to chill out and there'd be product available. And I feel like this is exactly where I wanted everything to be with Pokemon, with these sets coming out right now. I can buy Brilliant Stars, I can buy Fusion Strike, I can buy Children's Rain, Battle Stars, anything modern I can get a hold of. Like Celebration's a little trickier, but even that I mean, I managed to pick up a lunchbox the other day. Just had them sitting in Best Buy.
What do you think?
Sorry.
What do you think of Evolving Skies, though? Or not Evolving Skies reprint, Astral Radiance? You think Astral Radiance is going to be a banger set? Do you think it's going to perform more similar to like a Fusion Strike, or do you think it's going to be able to hold its own and stay somewhere in the middle? Or maybe you actually absolutely love it and think it's going to be the next Evolving Skies or Brilliant Stars. Where do you fall within that spectrum of just modern sets?
I think what is going to be similar with Fusion Strike, not so much the cards. Obviously, it's a pretty different set to what Fusion Strike was, but we've got a special set within a very short period of time, and a banger set that just happened, and Pokemon Go that's up and coming pretty soon after. I think that special set's going to be pretty excitable, for a lot of people, being something a little different, a little out of the ordinary. And I think that's going to cloud a little bit of the judgment and the feeling about it, I guess. But in terms of the cards, I'm excited for it. I think that Hoot is ridiculous. I think that there's some cards in there that are pretty specific Pokemon that people love. I don't think that the generic ones that most.
So what cards are you talking about? You talking about like the Palkia, Dialga?
Yeah, I think there's people that love that, but I don't think it appeals to everyone like a Charizard. Everyone likes getting a Charizard, right?
Yeah. So what is the card then you're talking about when you say that there are specific cards that appeal to certain people? What are the cards you're thinking about, though?
I'm thinking that Hoot I think is going to be a lot hotter than people think, and I think
I agree with that.
The Typhlosion, I think, is going to be up there. I don't think everyone's going to love it, but there's a lot of people that used to play Crystal and stuff back in the day and love, Cyndaquil and going through that, because that was the Charizard back then, the Typhlosion. That was the big hit of 5 Pokemon. So
yeah, there's definitely the gold and silver players out there that would love that card, but I don't know. To me, it doesn't have what it takes, because just compare it to a Chill and Rain. Do you think it matches 1-to-1 to Chill and Rain?
I think it's too different. I think it is different, but I think it's going to be similar in interest.
I think you could have made the same argument if you were talking about Chill and Rain in the same exact way you just described Astral Radiance, though. That there's a lot of cards in that set that certain people will love.
Yes.
And the proof's in the pudding at this point. Like Chill and Rain, while I agree with that, I think there's a lot of legendary bird fans out there. The market has kind of proven me wrong when it comes to that set. That while there are a lot of legendary bird fans, maybe it's trumped so drastically by all the evolution fans and all the Charizard fans and on stuff like that. Like those sets just perform so much better. So
yeah. I don't think it's going to be hot. I don't think it's going to be a hot, crazy set that's going to be difficult to get hold of and people are going to go crazy for. And I'm glad, kind of. Like I want to be able to grab some. I'm glad that it's going to be a bit more like, not mediocre. I think it's going to be more of a mid-range. I don't think it's a dead set. People definitely think it's a dead set. This is not a Battle Styles type set. But
yeah, I'll be interested in how it plays out, because one of the things I'm always amazed by and always shocked by is when I go into like Walmart or Target right now, the 2 ETBs I always see on the shelves are the same 2 ETBs I always see. I always see Darkness Blaze and I see Vivid Voltage. And both those ETBs, remove yourself from today and go back a month or two, those are $100 ETBs, and those are the ones that are sitting on the shelves. But the brilliant stars, which are the ones that should be on the shelves because that's the most modern set, those are usually the ones that are not on the shelves. So I don't see Astral Radiance as being a set that it's going to be sold out the same way Brilliant Stars is. I think when we go into Walmarts and Targets now, like we're seeing Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze currently as the sets sitting on the shelves, I think we're also going to start to see Astral Radiance as being the set that sits on the shelves. And I don't know, That's just my opinion.
I can't,
It's going to be so readily available out there, Oak. Like anybody who wants this set is going to be able to get it. Like it's not going to be selling out.
that sounds sublime. I was so annoyed when Vivid Voltage came out, and I think I went to like 3 different stores, and my wife ended up finding like 3 blister packs at a Target when she was there. It took like a week to find 3 blister packs. Like everywhere was sold out. I couldn't get hold of any of it. You know, the end of 2020 kind of time when things start to get a little crazy. Like this is exactly what I wanted. Is for it to be available, but still have some cool cards in. Like there's some pretty special ones. Like I'm just having a look right now. I haven't even gotten down to the rainbow ones, but I know there's quite a few rainbows in this one. Yep, I'm at it right now. There's a bunch of rainbow trainers, and you've got those crazy gold trainer like Path to the Peak, whatever it's called. Like those ones are. I think they're going to get a lot of short-term attention, but I think the fascination for a fancy trainer card is going to die off pretty soon. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people loving that long term.
No, I mean, I'll be interested to see where this set goes. And I just think in the near term, I don't think there's going to be a lot of buying pressure for this stuff, man.
What do you think
I
about
think,
the size of it?
what is the size of it? I'm not even sure.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers right now. It looks like there's 189 in the
189. And that
regular
does
set.
include all the secret rares and everything. So what's the full actual set size?
I'm trying to add it up. 189 add 88, so one like 280-ish.
Yeah, that's a lot of cards though. These modern sets, man, are just
Huge.
too
Huge.
drastic. And then
Crazy.
what's going to be the lag time between this and Pokemon Go? I feel like Pokemon Go is already where people are starting to put their attention to too.
It's going to be June, I think. I think it's going to be pretty soon after. So that's
When you
that's going to be a big issue for people moving on quick, getting bored real quick. Okay, now I want this set. It's the exact same thing that happened with Fusion Strike when we had all the crazy celebrations, and it's kind of in the mix a little bit of that stuff.
yeah. No, it's crazy to think about. And I'm now this is the thing, oh, because I have asked this question now so many times, so many different lives. It's always the question of like, where can Pokemon go from here? Where can Pokemon go from here? And I don't know. I don't see this as being it. I don't see this as being like the the definitive like, oh, this is so much better than the last set. And there's no way Pokemon can do that forever, right? There's no way they could just constantly one up the previous set to like inevitability, right? Like eventually you're going to have a more lackluster set. But my whole argument towards this is while I think Astral Radiance, like if you were to compare it to every set in history, would probably do okay. But just where it's landing with the current market, with the current sentiment of people, and the big sentiment and the big thing with modern, especially when what we're talking about today is should you wait to invest in it? And that's what everybody's talking about. Modern is being investable. You want to talk about just stagnation of an investable product. This set is going to be it, in my opinion. Now I could be way wrong. You know, Astral Radiance could moon, but I just don't see that happening.
You know what I think is slightly different with this one, like going back to like Chilling Rain, like slightly different with those two sets to some other sets that haven't done that great, is this has cards in it just like Chilling Rain where you don't particularly want it, you're not chasing it, but if you pulled it, it's fun. Like this got fun cards to pull in there, even if you're not actually chasing and wanting that. There's a lot of big flashy secrets and rares and rainbows and golds and all that kind of stuff. Like I pulled some Chilling Rain cards that like I didn't want, but I was like, hey, this is a cool card. This looks cool. You know, it kind of makes you feel fun when you pull in that stuff. But investability side, yeah, I don't think I'm sinking money into it to like
No,
for a
and
long time
I'm gonna
play.
do this. Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna do the same thing I do. It's when prices get to a comfortable area where I feel comfortable buying. I'm gonna buy my one booster box for my collection. I'll probably buy one to sell in the future, and then I'll have the one for my sons. I don't even know we got to find a name for it, like what we're gonna call that little fun for him. But yeah, that's gonna probably be it. I'm not gonna like go hard. I'm not gonna be buying cases of Astral Radiance. There's just no way.
Oaks Lab.
Oaks Lab. How have you been liking the trivias that I've been doing? I know I tried to just switch it up. I stole that idea from you a little bit because you did your prices right. So I changed it a little bit.
I was definitely more ridiculous than yours was. Like yours was definitely like actual questions and answers. I was just trying to have a bit of fun and being silly, you know. It's just do that and then have a chat. Yours was like legit, like tested me. I think I probably got half a dozen right last night. It made me feel real dumb. Like
I think
real
half
dumb.
is not bad.
Yeah.
I might. I don't want you to. I want you to feel encouraged to just go and be like, okay, I got to learn about some of these sets. I got to figure out like.
That's exactly what I did. So first thing I was doing is I haven't ever really studied old set symbols. Like it's just never been anything I've been interested in. It's not something I've invested time or like effort into.
Yep.
Obviously, I clearly need to brush up on set symbols to actually know where I'm standing when I'm looking at all the cards. Because normally I'm looking at like the set like the set amount, like you know how many cards are in the set. That kind of guides me a little better. But the symbol makes a lot more sense to get clear and straight with.
Yeah. And I went back and I rewatched that live and I watched the chat just like, you know, because you miss a lot of stuff as it's going. You know, you're looking at the questions, you're reading everything, trying to keep score. But one of the I want to say it was like the last question I did was the Pikachu riding the Whale Lord. And he's like standing on the back. It's the card. It's from Pop Series 5. And then somebody said, because the card I used was the hollow pattern from Pop Series 5. And they said, well, there's no hollows in Pop Series 5. Well, that Pikachu Whale Lord actually it's still considered Pop Series 5, but it was used as a promo on like blister packs. So that's why it had that hollow to it. I forget who wrote that. So.
I didn't know that. I remember looking at it and I was confused that it was a hollow. I didn't know if it was like a trick because I don't think I've ever seen the hollow one of it before.
Yeah, so they used them as like hollows for blisters. So there is a variant to those cards. That's why it stumped people, but it's still definitely considered Pop Series 5 still because of like the numbering and everything.
Does it have like the same card number on it?
Yep, same card number out of 17 and everything. Yeah, I want to say it's like 6 or 8, like off the top of my head. It's like one of those two.
See, it's not just fun, it's like educational too. I think everybody picked at least one thing up last night. Everyone.
Yeah.
Which like if you can bring that whilst having fun and like having a laugh, like we were being silly in the chat, like it was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you saw it, you know, we're messing around. It's a good time, but it's like about real life stuff in the Pokemon world. I loved it. Yeah, I think it was great. I have actually have one planned for next Friday. You're not doing next Friday, right? With those guys, is it Saturday?
No, it's this Friday coming up. So like 3 days from now, it's going to be the Rattle Cool Trainer Ryan podcast. So are you excited about that?
Oh, yeah, of course I am. Everybody's gonna be in that, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's
gonna be a fun one.
So Rattle's got some thoughts in the background, and I think he wants to try to make it so like kind of like a Pokemon TGIF, it's Friday kind of thing. So it will be a lot of different channels probably doing stuff after his lives eventually in the future. And this will just be one of those things. And for it to be a monthly podcast will be fun. You know, try to get some like big guys on, have some good conversations.
Yeah, I like that you're doing it like not live too, because you were gonna record it, right? I thought you were premiering it.
No, it's gonna air immediately after the premiere. So as soon as Rattle's premiere is over, you're just gonna go right into this lot or the live. So it's gonna be us answering questions, like communicating with the chat and stuff, because like that's what Pokemon should be. It should just be this like communicative thing, right? Like conversing, having fun with the chat and stuff like that.
I completely misheard what you said with that. You were talking about Rattle's live premiere.
Yeah, but so Rattle's premiere is definitely not live, but it's gonna roll right into our live with the three of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I like the idea that you're not doing it live because you can kind of concentrate on like the chat between you. But in reality, I mean, you guys are probably going to be so wrapped up in the chat, in your chat anyway, like in between yourselves. It's probably like we don't want you in our chat. You know, we want to listen to you guys. I think everybody kind of feels that like you guys don't need to be reading and listening to us. You guys should just chat, just have fun, you know,
Yeah.
and
And Wes said,
pull
I don't think,
questions.
yeah, Wes said, I don't think Cool Trainer or I can do anything but improv. No, he's a straight shooter. You don't know where he's gonna go. It's just like just
He's
let
been
him go.
wild on his last few videos. It's been fun.
He's got some A+ content, man. Like he'll be at 100,000 subscribers like any month now.
He makes me want to unleash my inner self. He like
Yeah.
makes me want to be more open on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, the only thing is he's got the crazy sealed collection to back it up, you know. He's been building that thing for years.
There's those boxes are not full of clothes and shoes for sure. Like you can see he's got a lot of little Tinker toys in there. There's a lot going
Oh,
on.
yeah. Like, you know, I
Did you see him looking at his garage when he was showing
oh, his garage, yeah. When he was looking at all that product.
his
Yeah.
garage? Yeah, that was a hell of a lot of boxes right there.
So let me ask you. So you do purchase a lot of modern, right? I'm looking behind you. You got ETBs modern, right?
Some of it.
You obviously got your Pikachu collection for PSA. I know you said you're what, number 4 in the world right now for your Pikachu master set.
Yes, I'm very, very close. I just sent 3 requests for other cards on in there that I have cards for, so that may change slightly. But yeah, I'm up there. I think grading wise for the basic set, I think out of the top 5, I have the highest graded. I'm the only one with only 10s
Oh, okay.
in that.
So
So
that's all your input in are 10s. You're not input in lower grades.
no, that's the basic set. For the full master set, I have a few like promos that aren't 10s and a few Japanese and stuff. Like there's a few other little bits that aren't 10s, so that grade's lower. But
Dude, how big is the master Pikachu set for PSA? It's got to be
684.
that number seems low to me, to be honest with you, man.
Not everything's in it. I just asked last night. I just sent them 2 requests for 3 cards. It's still not got everything in it because they only add when someone asks.
Yeah.
So like in reality, I would think there's probably 2 or 3,000 Pikachu cards. I would think.
So with that said, let's go back to like the modern conversation. And what I do want to do my best, because the topic of this conversation is why you should wait to, you know, invest in Astral Radiance, which I do think people should. I think people are going to see some pretty low entry points. And are we going to get low to like that 75, 80, $85 mark? I think it's high likelihood. I think $85 is a strong possibility. Is $90 like a fine entry opportunity, in my opinion? Like, yeah. Well, let me ask you. So when you look at a modern set, when you're looking at investability and you're looking at like, okay, I want to make some money in Pokemon, what do you look for when it comes to modern for investability? Or are you one of those people that just strictly, you don't look at any sort of investability, you just look at it 100% from the collectibility aspect and nothing else?
Both.
Because you do
Honestly,
sell cards, right? Like you've talked about selling modern stuff. You've sold, you know, you express graded your Pokemon Center Bidoof, which you got 2 of them because one of them was damaged. They sent you another one. You got a PSA 10. You sold that for 700. You've done a lot of trades and sales in order to grow your collection. So you do sell, but do you look at any modern as being a play?
I just sold 7 modern on Sunday in PWCC. They just finished on Sunday, and I made profit on out of the 7 modern. I made profit on 6.
What was this for?
PWCC's auction.
No, what did you sell? Modern cards, you said?
Yeah. So I sold the Celebrations Charizard. I think it ended. I I didn't even check the numbers. I just saw that they sold, but I saw the numbers, but I didn't see which card was which. I think the Charizard sold for, it was over 300. And it was
That's crazy.
$50 grading. Like it was the $50 economy grading when that first started. That was one of those cards that I did a video on it coming back and it got the 10. Squeaky clean, I made $250 from one card. Like easy money. Like that's the stuff where I touched on it the other day on the game night. Like my kind of quote with Pokemon investing and flipping is the glass isn't half full, it's not half empty, it's a chance to quench your thirst. Like you got to grab the glass and just take a drink, but you got to make sure there's something in the glass. Like you can't just be checking all different cups just to try and find something. And I think people at the moment are thinking that any Pokemon item or card, whether it's graded or sealed or promo or anything, has something in it to drink. Not everything does. So when I'm researching and trying to figure out what I think is going to make profit, I'm looking at data. So is it selling at high volume? Are people buying it? Are people searching for it? That's the main thing. If people aren't buying and searching for battle styles, right? Is there maybe a card in there that they're buying and searching for? Maybe. But obviously, when I'm looking at the second part of the data is the actual sales numbers. So is it profitable to buy that, take a risk? Can I buy 5 of it, grade it? You know, there's...
So I think I know what you're saying. And so Mason wrote a question and he said, poke knowledge based on what? And what I think his question was I asked maybe about modern being investability. And maybe that was the question he was asking, like, based off of what? Like, what is your background to say that modern product is investable? And sort of what you were alluding to. And my answer to Mason would be, if that is the question he's asking, maybe I misunderstood him. Maybe he could rewrite exactly what he meant by that. But if he's talking about like, what's my baseline for why modern is investable? I think it just boils down to one simple thing. Modern is super easily, you can navigate modern very easy if you understand the market. It's just that simple.
Right.
Like if you understand the market and you're willing to not just hold cards, you're willing to like turn and burn product, you're willing to like, it takes a lot of effort, especially for like one person working a full-time job and stuff, to like constantly be watching the market, looking at single prices, understanding like the risks that you're going to take, being first to market, stuff like that. Like, when does it make sense to express grade a card? When does it make sense to do that $50 economy? When does it make sense to send that card to CGC? When does that make sense to sell that ETB? When do you think the reprints are coming? All these little nuances that go with modern. I think that there's just constant plays every day for modern. And a perfect example being that Umbreon everybody's talking about right now. That card sitting at $700 in a PSA 10 with Evolving Skies reprints coming, all this raw ones that are out there, all the people that see what these prices are doing, trying to make a play, like that price is not sustainable. But for every single person up to this point who did make that play, who graded that card, picked it up raw, sent it for $100 or $50 to have graded, sold it onto the market, made hundreds of dollars, you know, 2x their money. Every single one of those people played the game right. They knew. So you can't hate that. Now, I've always said this. I don't know who the end buyer is for this stuff, but we live in this super small, like, I don't know, echo chamber, right, of YouTube, where every single person that's in this chat, like I've seen them before, that I've said this before, like these people have more knowledge of the hobby than I used to say, like 90%, but now I believe that the number is way off. I think the people watching this are the 1% of this hobby. I don't think they're the 10% anymore. I think they're the 1%. And the people that in my head I used to think were the 1%, the people that were sitting on cases of, you know, vintage booster boxes and, you know, PSA 10 master collections of first editions. Like, I used to think that they were the 1%, but I've now changed my thought process after dealing with more people. And I now believe that those people are in fact only the 0.1% or the 0.01% of collectors. But because I live in this echo chamber, and those are the people I surround myself with. When I surround myself with the people in the world that have the largest collections, I'm jaded, I'm biased because I think that's how everyone is, but I have to remove myself and say, you know, like Cool Trainer Ryan, love the guy to death. His sealed collection is envious to like anybody out there. I'll tell you what, if I asked him, is that Umbreon alternative art investable? He would mother F me from now until the end of the world, like he knows, Mason knows, every single person in this chat knows, they know that card isn't going to hold price. So, like Josh, the green chiz is in this chat right now. If I said, Josh, how do you look at that Umbreon alternative art? Josh is going to tell me, dude, that's an easy play. Buy that raw, create it for $50 or $100, depending on the tier, throw it onto the markets, make a couple $100. Like he sees the play. But then I say, well, do you see that as a card you want to buy for $700 and keep it as part of your personal collection? He's going to laugh at me. And probably out of the 70 people or whatever watching this, 60 people watching this chat, if I ask 60 people, like, do you want to sit on this card and have it be part of your personal collection at this dollar amount? Every single one of those people would laugh at me. They would say, no freaking way. But that's the echo chamber we live in, man. We live in this weird world. And we're just the 1%, I think.
I think I mean, I don't even think it's 1%. Like, honestly, it feels, because of what we're in and what we're doing and how vocal we all are, it feels like there's a lot of people with the same mindset in the hobby. Just because they're in the hobby, it doesn't mean they're in the same section of the hobby, doing the same stuff and thinking the same way as we are. Mason has a crazy amount of subscribers. He's got over 20,000 subscribers, right? I can tell you, when he was talking about the majority of people just being consumers and being buyers and people who want to open, I would agree that over 99% of his subscribers just enjoy his content, want to see cards, want to be involved in it. They're not thinking about it the same way as us, but they're going to keep an ETB just in case, or they're going to keep a blister pack, or they're going to whatever. Some may end up rimping, some may end up doing this, whatever. What's interesting for me with the argument is that every single set the past couple of years, there's at least one card where I've made profit on it. Like actual, like a decent chunk of profit. There's always been one hitter where I've managed to grade it and sell and make something. And I could tell you, Astral Radiance, I'm not sure what it is yet, but I got an idea of a couple that I think it's going to be. And I'm going to try and do that, flip a couple real quick and make $100, make $200, make 1,000, whatever it ends up being. Even if you make $50, what's minimum wage right now? To buy a couple of cards, grade them, ship them out. They collect it from my door. I send them with priority mail. I don't even have to go to the post office. Like, it's very minimal amount of time invested. It's my effort and my time doing the research that's the investment, not the actual doing it. So you can then replicate it many times after. You can make a part-time wage. I made a part-time wage last year playing around buying and selling. In that sense, modern's investable. I don't think modern is investable like people view stocks. I hear people keep comparing it to S&P and like other types of investments. It's not financial investment. Like, it's just not the same. It's not the same thing. It's just apples to oranges.
So I put up a poll for everybody. It said, because it was actually Mason's question, but I just made it an actual poll. It said, would you buy the Umbreon at the current price graded PSA 10? So that is the Umbreon from Evolving Skies, the alternative art card. Would you buy it in a PSA 10? There will always be that one person who will write yes.
Somebody. Yeah. One just sold for 760. Just now.
So Australian Blastoise, good to see Australian Blastoise in the chat. I haven't seen him around lately, but he said he owns an Umbreon, but not selling it right now. Tempted to, but won't. Would never buy one. Lucky enough, pulled it. I mean, you pull that card, it's like hitting a little mini lottery ticket. Basic Trainer said he was rather having a Evolutions booster box for $100.
It's bizarre. Perfect example though, because you could have picked up a few boxes. Say you paid $100 a box, right? You bought 5 boxes, maybe you pulled 2 of these, 1 maybe 2. You know, in a case, I mean, you're in profit, and you still got every other card. I sold, what was it, a Glaceon or something? I opened a few packs or a ETB or whatever it was. I pulled a Glaceon Ultra. I think it was. I sold it for like $55, like 17 minutes after listing it. It sold like within seconds. Boom, covered my whole cost. Everything else was mine for free. Like that's the plays you got to do.
Well, and yeah, I mean, that's a great point that you made is how fast did you say that card sold?
17 minutes.
Yeah, 17 minutes. That is a good point though. Like a lot of people talk about Pokemon as sort of not being like a liquid asset, right? But so 97% said that no, they would not buy it. So I'll end the poll so it gets out everybody's way. But when you think about it, Pokemon, when it comes to modern product, is one of the most liquid Pokemon assets out there. Like when you have whatever the modern chase is, whatever that modern set is, if you have it, especially if you're a first to market on that, you got a golden ticket, man. You make your own, like you control your own destiny at that point if you have that going for you.
This was the second week it had been released, minus pre-release, so really 3 weeks, you know, after release, if you include pre-release, really. But it was we were about 2.5 weeks in after that, and then I threw it in. I think I was like $5 below the lowest, like that was listed for buy it now. So there were a bunch at auction, 99 cents or whatever, what buy it now, and this guy bought it, left me great feedback. He was happy. He paid $55 for the card. I don't know where it's at right now. I haven't researched it, but for me, it's just those like opportunistic moments of like grabbing it and hey, maybe you sell a few cards for $5 a piece, you know, or I mean, end of 2020, I was selling vintage cards 99 cents a piece. I was probably at 8s and 9s, 99 cents a pop. Gym Challenge, Gym Heroes, Team Rockets, like all that stuff.
Dude, you were grinding. I can't do that stuff. I can't. That's like for you, old school Pokemon. I can't do that type of grinding.
I put it all back in. So I knew that I was going to use that to play with, and now I've got a bunch of cards that I never dreamed of being able to own. Like literally, I've got things that I never thought I would ever have a chance of owning. It's just from grinding. It's just hard work.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. If you're doing it with that mindset where it's whatever you sell, 100% of whatever you make just goes 100% of that money goes right back into buying and growing your collection. Like you could definitely grow it massive. But it's interesting because Mason's in this chat, and again, I do want to kind of bring it back to the topic of this video.
Yep.
Why should you wait to invest in Astral Radiance? I would be curious from his point of view, because I personally think Astral Radiance could be like sort of a bag, very similar to the way like Battle Styles was. And we're seeing right now, and Mason's been very transparent about how many Battle Styles ETBs he's sitting on, just because the demand wasn't there. Maybe the demand was there definitely at the beginning. There's no doubting that. But like the later print runs and the restocks and everything he got, he ended up sitting on a lot of those. I wonder if he is worried about Astral Radiance the same way. And if he is worried that Astral Radiance could potentially be a bag, or I would be interested because in my opinion, and again, not somebody who's an LGS, not somebody who has distributed agreements, when I look at a set like Astral Radiance, I personally, as soon as I got that, I would be trying to fire sale the shit out of that. I would not want to be sitting on any of that stuff because I think once the initial wave comes, once that initial buying pressure comes, I think it's just going to stagnate and dry up. But like, that's my opinion, right? So I'm wondering if I am very, very wrong.
But isn't that how it always was before this crazy hype? Because like you referred back to Chilling Reign and it being kind of like that. That was crazy. Like people went crazy for Chilling Reign, and it wasn't that great of a set, but like people went a little bit nuts. It was like kind of difficult to get hold of for a second. The ETBs got a little tricky after that first initial like, oh my god, actually there's loads available, and then boom, there wasn't anything. It got a little bit odd, but yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think it's the set. I think it's just the market right now. I think it's the demand. I think people have chilled out. I think a lot of the flipper, scalper, people hoping to make quick bucks, I think a lot of them have chilled out, got lost because they maybe got burnt or bored. It's not as exciting
or
anymore.
wallet fatigue, it could be wallet fatigue. Like,
How many products have dropped this year? Like,
yeah.
this
So
past
Mason,
year.
yeah, Mason did said summer sets are traditionally extremely playable sets, are meant to shake up the meta. So I'm not 100% on the actual playability of this set, but what I think is driving so much of this market right now is definitely like the put it in your closet as a sealed product investment. And I think that is what's dangerous right now. And I've always said that, like, why are you buying this product at whatever price you're buying it? Are you buying this because you think it's going to the moon? Are you buying it because you're playing it? Now, if you're just ripping a lot of packs for playability, while I do think that is fine on a very small scale, I don't think that there are any real competitive players out there who are building their deck strictly by ripping packs. I think that there's, especially with how much modern is being open right now with TCG player and all this stuff and eBay, I don't think people really are just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to buy 100 booster boxes in order to rip all the cards I want. I just don't see that right now. Maybe in the past when people weren't opening as the quantity of products that people are opening now, I think maybe that was a little different. I think that market has shifted a little bit, but I could definitely be wrong there too.
I want.
But somebody had said, so Chill Phil brought up a good comment. He said, I won't be buying nearly the amount I think I bought more battle styles LO, which wasn't much. So I wonder, and Chill Phil, if he's still in the chat listening, I would be curious, is if he not buying more because of that wallet fatigue, because there's just been so much stuff, people heavily invested in Evolving Skies, people heavily invested in Brilliant Stars, people heavily, Pokemon Center ETBs or, celebrations. We just kind of got out of that between celebrations, ETBs and UPCs and Evolution premium collection boxes. Now we got the Pokemon Go pre-orders and all this stuff. I'm wondering if these people are just eventually like getting worn out and they don't want to start parking money in sets they don't think are going to perform well. That is
I think it's also underestimated as a whole. I haven't heard much talk about it, but I remember this time a year ago, we were all talking about the PSA backlog and how when they all start coming back, prices are going to tank, the market for graded cards are going to go crazy and drop and all that kind of stuff. And some have, some haven't, some are definitely lower. I've noticed this past week, a few that I've been looking at have definitely been selling lower, but nowhere near as much as we thought. So that's a little odd to me. Like I was definitely thinking that prices were going to be a bit lower and a bit more saturated almost from the PSA cards coming back, and they've been cranking them out. There's been some serious numbers, and just not the high grade stuff that we want.
Yeah. And this isn't really changing the market either, but when you talk about like the high grade stuff, like you just mentioned, like, man, it sucks to be that guy who gets the PSA 9 now for this modern stuff, right? Like when you look, we talked about it earlier, and it's the topic the card everybody's talking about, but the Umbreon, the Moon alternative art, that card grades an 80% PSA 10 rate. 80%. That means 8 out of every 10 cards you send the PSA are going to get a 10. And we live in 2022. All those cards are pack fresh. They're not getting mishandled after they're pulled. That card is coming from pack to sleeve to top loader, or not top loader, card saver one, and then going right to PSA. They're not being handled or anything. But man, you got to feel bad for that 20% of people out there that are the ones getting the PSA 9s, and then opposed to the other 80% of people that are pulling the 10s.
PK, the 9 selling for $400.
$400? I don't know how this world works anymore. I give up. I give
Like,
up. I give up on this hobby is.
it's crazy. I mean, people are buying it every single day. I'm looking at it every single day. People are buying it, literally nonstop.
Why?
Any grade.
Why? Let me, all right. Why? I know I kept saying why. I can't make sense of this. If you were buying that, why wouldn't you just buy it raw and grade it yourself? Because I want to say that at $700 and $400 for a PSA 9, the people grading that are grading it, or sorry, not grading it, buying it, are buying it for their PC, right? They got to be buying it for their personal collection at $700. I doubt they're buying at $700 because they think it's an investment opportunity. If you were going to spend $700 or $400 for a 9, why wouldn't you just, especially the $400 for the 9, why wouldn't you just pick that card up raw and grade it yourself? PSA is $50 grading tiers right now. Why? How many times I got to say why? I sound like a broken record. I don't understand. What am I missing?
I love it. I think it's brilliant. Like, I honestly think it's brilliant that people are throwing money into Pokemon still.
Because if you're paying $400 for a 9, Oak, right? Paying $400 for a 9, why don't you just take the chance of getting the 10? Because you're probably, even if worst case scenario, you get the 9 and you still probably like will end up doing fine. You'll probably make out like a couple bucks, maybe like less than 50, but you'll probably still be up. Why not do it?
Do you think for the people that managed to get those booster boxes right out the gate, or I don't know, ETBs even, right? So $400, that's 10 ETBs. Do you think you would have pulled more than one in PSA 10 quality and 10 ETBs?
10 ETBs?
Yeah,
No.
so what's that, like 100
No.
packs? I think you could have got one. I think you could have pulled one. I think it's possible.
Maybe. I mean,
but I don't think 2 or 3.
80,
like,
but no, I don't understand the question. Why would that's not the route I would go though.
I think people are ripping boxes right now to try and find this card to grade. I literally think people are ripping boxes to do that. And I think that's probably what's going to happen.
What's the raw value of that card? Why would you want to rip a box? What's the raw value? That card's not a card you rip trying to pull.
I'm going to ask Mr. Google right now.
Because, yeah, Mason's saying 1 in 720 packs. No, that's not I'm going to rip booster boxes to make this play. That's not.
I don't know. It feels like a lottery ticket to me.
Unless you're the person that's going after that and really grinding that. 1 in 720 packs. Like, no, that is you want that card bad enough. Like, good for you. Some people, don't get me wrong. There's definitely been cards that Pokemon has released that I've really wanted that I've went out and bought. Like, they exist. But to try to freaking pull that card yourself is freaking financial suicide. Unless they're that.
This raw one just got listed and sold instantly for $395.
$395
raw on eBay just now, like an hour or 2 ago.
So $395, you're talking the price. That's like 2.5 booster boxes. So you kind of would bring, let's just call it 1 per 3 booster boxes for $290. That means if you bought a case of Evolving Skies ETBs, do you think your odds are pulling 2 of those per case? I would say no. But then this is where like the semantics come into play, right? Like, if you're ripping booster boxes, you're not just pulling that one card. You're getting all your bulk. You're
Right.
getting all your other evolutions. You're getting all your other hits. But man, maybe at 3, that's a lot. 300. Damn, it's crazy to think about how much Evolving Skies singles are selling for, dude. Crazy.
It's crazy.
This
Imagine,
market. I
imagine
think
the
this is
PSA 10, the PSA 10 what's the hollows, not what's the like commons and stuff. How many of those you could get for $800? Like there's quite a few
I,
cards you could collect right there for that amount.
yeah, I just bought a card, last week for a fourth of that, $200. It was a super low pop PSA 9, $212, like super low pop, super rare set. Packs for that set that I bought it from, over $1,000 per pack. So people could probably guess, what set it came from.
You
Like
but
$1,000 packs.
you don't have the opportunity to do that right now. The same that you do with Evolving Skies with this card. You can literally, you just said yourself at the beginning of this video, go to Pokemon Center right now, buy a booster box, potentially pull this, grade it, sell it for 800. You could literally do that and make $600.
That can't last.
Literally
Right?
today
Right?
it's
Like
happening.
we have to say that's not possible, right? Like it just can't last, or can it?
It's crazy. It's nuts. I mean, but I love it, and what I do love also is that there's cards in Astral Radiance, there's cards in Brilliant Stars, there's cards in Pokemon Go. There's still cards that people freaking love and they want to chase and they want to get. And a lot of people don't want to buy singles. They want to buy a box and try and pull it themselves because it's fun, the experience of it. And when you were talking about the 1%, that's
But
that's the 99%.
But I understand I understand the raw price, and especially for modern too. I can get behind some of these prices, some of the high prices. And we've already talked about it on this chat, why I could get behind that, because pull rates are so high. Like I understand pull rates are high, therefore card prices for some of the stuff are going to be like super high. I get that. I could totally get behind it because it makes sense. But what I can't get behind is easy gradable cards. Why would you not just grade it yourself? Do you think that there are just people,
I
and
know
this,
why.
do you think people just don't know how to grade cards?
Yeah, I think you're informed, and I think 99% of people aren't. I think you underestimate, and that's not. I'm not trying to like be facetious or pedantic or anything, but like, I just think most people in this hobby think it's simpler than what it is, and they worry about the technical stuff like grading and shipping stuff off and consigning and eBay and POCC. Like, I don't think that many people get involved compared to how many people are opening ripping packs and hoping to like pull the card they want.
I wish we just had an invention, right? And it'd just be called the transparency machine, right? So you could go in your transparency machine and you could just find out every single person that bought that card, like, why did they buy it? Every person that bought Evolving Skies booster boxes yesterday for 180. Yesterday, meaning less than 24 hours ago. Everybody that bought those booster boxes for 180, and now they could go on Pokemon Center today and pick them up for 143. To just know. But this is the thing too. When we look at that Evolving Skies, alternative our Umbreon, what's in our conversation? We're looking at pop reports. We're looking at what percentage of those are going to grade a 10 opposed to a 9. What are the 10 prices versus the 9 prices versus the raw prices? Is it just that maybe the fact of the matter is that just the other percentage of the population of collectors just don't even care about that? Would you be able to say that out of all the sales of that Umbreon, however many of that card sold in for PSA 10 at $700-800, do you think that there is one person that spent $800 on that card? And if I asked them, do you know what the pop of that card is? Do you think there's a chance that one person would say, what's a pop report?
I would say closer to 50%.
50%. You think that it would be that high that if you said, what's the pop of that $800 Umbreon, and they would just, do you think their answer to you would be, I spent $800 because I looked at recent sales of this card and they were selling for that. So that's what the price is.
Yeah.
And they don't care.
I genuinely think we underestimate how much ignorance is in this hobby. And I don't mean that in a negative light. I just mean they just haven't looked into the education of like pop reports. What happens to prices after release as they start to come down? What happens as pop reports go up? What happens to prices at that point? Like, I think people just don't look at that stuff because they see that card, they think, that's a freaking cool card. I want that. I want it in a 10 because that's the best one. Everybody buys the 10. Like, that's the main one, and they buy it. Like, I really think it's that simple for some people. And I think it's a lot more than what people like you and I and the whole of this chat right now, everyone in this chat doesn't think that way. I can guarantee it.
That is pretty crazy to think about.
It's nuts. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever discussed the population of a card that I own with someone that isn't like super into Pokemon, like, you know, like everyone in the chat right here. I don't think I've ever chatted about like a pop number and they haven't been like, oh wow, like surprised, like in a good or a bad way. Like, I really don't think anyone ever really looks at that stuff. And I tell you a real world example is I don't have that many crazy Pikachus, and somehow my basic set, I'm 4th in the world. I do not have the most Pikachus to be the 4th in the world. I think people just don't use the set registry. I don't think they go on PSA website to check pop reports. I don't think they're looking at how many are getting graded through the pop report, that kind of stuff. I just don't think they're doing it. I think they see the card, they think that's good. Like you say, people are paying that price. People are paying it raw. They're paying $400. Everyone else says that must be the price. Like, okay, that's what I got to pay. That's what it's been listed for.
I could get behind that. I could definitely think that there are people out there that would have that. Yeah, I agree. I don't use the set registry, so I'm a good example of that. I have a lot of cards and sets that would probably end up doing pretty good, but I don't have any cards
Yeah.
inputted.
You're a bad boy.
You had somebody from PSA on who does the set registry, right?
Greg, he was such a nice guy. He was such a sweet guy. We chatted for a while before we started recording, and oh my god, yeah, he was a really good guy. He was super interesting because he had like pretty similar like background and values as me, you know, just kind of like in it. His collects, he buys, he sells a few bits here and there, and just kind of enjoys it. He's always, you know, he played the games and he collected as a kid, you know, just the typical like same things where I was at. And he was very kind and a good hearted guy, you can tell. He was super sweet. I actually sent him a couple of cards just to say like thanks for coming on.
Oh well. So a couple things. First thing is everybody out there watching, especially Mason. Mason never likes to hit the like button on this video. Guys, do the first thing, hit the like button, especially you, Mason. Number two, if anybody is not subscribed to Professor Oak, I just now, as Professor Oak was talking, just added a link to the description of his channel. Just pause this video real quick. Go down in the description below, click on that link, go give him a subscribe. You're going to really enjoy it. He does a lot of live discussions, very similar to what we do on this channel. One of his lives he did had him and all my mods in it. So it was Professor Oak, Basic Trainer, Chevals, and Andrew all were in the live. And they did a Price is Right type of video. And at the very end of it, I joined that. We had a big conversation between the five of us. Awesome. He's had PSA people on, people that actually work at PSA who are just strictly do the set registry, which he literally just mentioned. But if you like videos like that, definitely give him a subscribe. I think the goal is to get him to 1,000 subscribers. So we're going to get you, we'll get you there, Professor Oak. But the link for his channel is down in the description below. Give him a subscribe. This way you could go back and rewatch some of that. And like I said, I was on it. It's a good live between the five of us. We have a pretty good conversation. We talk about some pretty niche stuff too in there too.
You're too kind. You're too good to me, PK.
Yeah.
You really are. You know, you thank you for that. I really appreciate it, guys. Seriously, go sub. Like, we'll have some fun. But in all honesty, that video that we just made, that live that we just did with the game, the one that you just talked about, ended up being by far my most viewed and liked one so far. Like by far, it was like people loved that. It was fun. We had like good positive chat. You know, you were asking great questions when you joined and stuff. Like it was awesome. So it just goes to show like people enjoy it. Just like in yours last night with the questions, like it's just so much fun doing that stuff. It's just such a positive environment to be in, you know. I'm excited for more. I do have one with a couple of familiar faces. I'm not going to spoil it. I'll tell you off cam, but there's a couple of familiar faces next Friday that we're going to be doing. So that should be a fun one.
Oh, that's cool. So you've had Mason on your channel too, right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys like this, if you guys like Mason, definitely give him a, drop that subscribe button. But you had also done a pretty cool video where have you announced the winner yet for that 21 like content?
Thrifty won it. I'm gonna announce it. I'm gonna do a mail day, and I was gonna announce it in that. I've got a stack of mail from people and things that I've bought. I was gonna do all in one go and then announce it in that. But yeah, Thrifty, she like, I think she sent me the guess, and there was like one off, and then she was like, "Oh wait," and then sent me the real one, and got it. But technically, you were first.
Of course I was first.
Yeah.
I watched that video one time and I knew every single one of them.
She watched it the second and was like, "Oh wait, yeah, I get that one now." Yeah, she got the other one, but yeah, you got it. And I was gonna talk about. I didn't want to spoil it, but yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, you definitely crushed it. And you know what? I was actually surprised the variation in guesses, because some people got, I mean, literally 5. I had one person got 5 of them, but they still like wanted to participate, which I thought was awesome. This dude like enjoyed it, wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Quite a few people got like between like 16, 17, 18, like very, very close. I really didn't think, I thought it was going to take a week or two for people to like really figure it out, because there was some tricky ones in there for the casual watcher.
I think your video is up for like 30 minutes before I emailed you the list. You must have been like, what the heck?
Literally, I was like, wait, did that even upload? Like, is that even like, is he watching it while it's processing it?
So Australian Blastoise put up a question. He said, PK, outside of your usual East Aries interest, have you been looking at any gold stars recently? I think some are at good prices. Yes and no. I've been watching a lot of PWCC auctions. PWCC has had a pretty big flood of gold stars relatively recently, I'd say within the last month or two. And it's just one of those, like, you got a price point in mind. If the price sells for under that, I'll pick it up. But if the price sells high, like PWCC right now has just been all over the place with prices. I've seen so many things like sell for way too much. I've seen so many things sell for way too little. I guess it's just whoever the buyer is that week. So that would be my answer is just like keep looking.
I got a Pikachu I needed, just a Target promo one, PSA 9 for $16 the other day, like last week for it. I was like, okay, there's one more scratch on my set list, you know, my set registry, like $16, that's super cheap. But and then on the other hand, like you were saying, you know, some of them that I was watching definitely went over. I backed out. I was like, okay, yeah, that's crazy. It's like listed for buy it now on eBay cheaper than what people are bidding on PWCC right now for some of them. So yeah, I mean, it's a case of, again, education, like knowing your sources, knowing the data, knowing what you're looking at. You know, you're checking eBay, you're checking like this card's condition and the population and that kind of stuff. What I was most surprised with the PWCC auction, which kind of coming back to the topic of the live stream again, was on Sunday when I was searching through the Pikachus. Obviously, like that's my first go-to. There was so many Japanese, like just a ridiculous amount of Japanese graded cards. And I can't help but think that these new sets, you know, we've just had what was that one I opened? Battle Region. We've got Phantasma, like the what was the Poggy one? The, you know, the other new ones that are coming out right now, they are going to trickle in to get graded. Some of those big hitter cards in there. And I feel like we're going to start getting a bunch of modern not just modern English, but now we're going to start getting a bunch of modern Japanese stuff in there. For some reason, Japanese has gone crazy, and I can tell you, it wasn't that crazy. Like it wasn't that crazy for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I never really bought Japanese. I had a couple for the novelty, but it wasn't because I wanted to specifically collect Japanese cards. I don't know what your thought is on that, but like, Astral Radiance has got quite a few from Battle Region. Like, I've got a bunch of them here, from opening the box, but I don't know if I'm going to grade them and ship them to PWCC. I don't, but maybe people are. I don't know. What's your thought on that?
All right. To everybody else out there, I do have to go to bed. I got to wake up super early for work tomorrow.
Same.
But I do want to say thank you for everybody joining the chat, especially for Professor Oak joining the live. I hope he had fun. The link for his channel is in the description below. Every single one of you guys definitely need to give him a subscribe. It's great content. But Professor Oak, I appreciate you joining.
Thank you. What a rock star chat. Like, seriously, absolute superstars in this chat tonight. Like, I can't even keep up. There's too many cool people in there. But thank you for having me. That was really kind of you to let me jump in.
Yeah, it's always fun. And hopefully maybe there'll be one more live this week, but definitely hope to see everybody on Friday for the first ever podcast with me, Cool Trainer Ryan, and Rattle. I'm sure Professor Oak will be there.
Oh, yes. Wait, we're going to be on your channel?
So right now, for temporarily, it's going to be on my channel. We haven't decided whether or not it's going to move to another channel or not. So
that's important. So I'll be modding.
Yeah.
I see you, basic.
All right, guys. But we'll catch you all. We'll catch you guys all in the next video.
See you.